The Los Angeles Rams have been gutted by injuries and adversity the past couple of seasons, but they're still the same team that won the Super Bowl in 2022, and they have one more championship run in them. How are you doing? I'm Jesse McNamer, and welcome to Point of View. Before we get into it today, I just want to say we always appreciate your feedback and look forward to reading your comments like the one we've got here. Also, be sure to stay tuned to the end of this episode to see if you can guess today's trivia question down below. To today's topic, have we already forgotten how good the Rams were just 3 seasons ago? They mowed through the Cardinals, Bucks, 49ers, and Bengals on the way to a championship, but they have taken a back seat in the national spotlight the past 2 seasons. Yet, they still have the pieces to compete for another Super Bowl this year and beyond. They just aren't viewed in that light right now, and that's because their performance the past 2 seasons haven't put them in that conversation. In the 2022 season, they went just 5-12, but were dealing with injuries to some players that you just can't live without. Aaron Donald missed the last 6 weeks of the season, Kupp missed the last 8, and Matthew Stafford missed the last 7, not to mention the constant rotation of starters on the offensive line and secondary. If injuries can ever be used as an excuse, the Rams' 2022 season was the perfect example. Now we look at this past season in 2023, they finished 10-7 even after swapping out over half their roster from 2022, largely because of the cap constraints they had. They inserted 15 rookies, had just 2 returning starters on the offensive line, and lost some important experienced players like Allen Robinson and Bobby Wagner. And all of this came during an offseason where the Rams weren't sure head coach Sean McVay was going to be back in LA. After a disappointing season, the news of McVay's return seemed to revitalize the team, and that certainly looked like it carried into the season as well. Here's what McVay said last offseason about how the team's view changed when they were no longer the reigning champs.
I don't necessarily know if it's just you're watching somebody else as much as you're excited about being able to build on the things that you learned, and not that you're busy looking in the rearview mirror, but hey, let's not be naive to the things that occurred, and let's attack it with the right eyes up, moving forward mindset and mentality, and that's exactly where a lot of those players that I've talked to are at. Sometimes you have to be able to learn things, and without those experiences, there's no great growth that can really occur, and I believe that.
And as we know, some of the Rams who got a new or bigger role became breakout stars. Puka Nacua set the league on fire from the jump with over 100 receiving yards in 3 of his first 4 games of the season. Kyren Williams took advantage of his increased role and rushed for over 1,000 yards in just 12 games. And lesser-known rookie Kobe Turner at nose tackle led the team with 9 sacks. All of those guys are 24 years old or younger and have potential through the roof. The Rams fought back from a 3-6 start to last season and snuck into the playoffs as a 6th seed, nearly taking down the Detroit Lions in the wildcard round after they had looked like the second-best team in the NFC all season. Goff got his revenge then. Stafford and the Rams will definitely be back for more. Here's Sean McVay on his outlook for next season.
We've got a lot of continuity coming back, and we'll have a lot of resources relative to draft capital and even just some flexibility to be able to, add, some players or re-sign some that wasn't afforded to us last year. And so I'm really excited and motivated.
Now we get to this offseason, and things are changing again, as they always do. Secondary players Ahkello Witherspoon and Jordan Fuller are free agents, and starting tight end Tyler Higbee suffered a torn ACL in that wildcard game, so he could need some time to get back into form. But those are all areas that can be taken care of in the offseason or even during the season, as we saw with Odell Beckham Jr. and Von Miller signings the year they won it all. Here's what Rams general manager Les Snead had to say on how he evaluates the team and offseason from year to year.
Let's don't spend all the cap at Christmas. Let's maybe save some for birthday down the road and anniversary down the road and Mother's Day down the road, right? It's not going to be as probably, you're right, there's not as many presents as it is in free agency, but there is some possible when, I use the example, right, where if you are somewhat, I don't want to call the word frugal, but if you're wise, you can have a space for a Von Miller or an OBJ.
The Rams are set to have the 19th overall pick in the draft, and if they end up using it, it'll be their first time with a first-round draft pick since 2016. They have over $40 million worth of cap space they can use to bring back offensive line players like Coleman Shelton or Kevin Dotson, or even go into the free agent market for a player like Tyron Smith. They already have a great defensive line, but could use some added depth, which is exactly what the draft is for, and they already hit on Kobe Turner and Byron Young, so I trust their scouting there. Their biggest concern is probably in the secondary, where the Rams ranked in the bottom third of the league in nearly every passing category. They've got 3 picks in rounds 2 and 3 of the draft, and could grab someone who can make an immediate impact like Cole Bishop or Quinion Mitchell if he falls that far. All of these changes are definitely important, but what they have now is a core that looks a lot like a contender. Stafford is 35 but just threw for nearly 4,000 yards. Aaron Donald is still one of the most frightening players to look at across the line of scrimmage, and their offensive weapons are just as good as anyone. So if you want to doubt the Rams, that's fine. Only one team wins the Super Bowl each year. But we know the Rams have the players and coaches that have been there before, and with the young guys they've added the last couple of years, they are poised to go on at least one more run before the vets ride off into the sunset. On the other side of the country, the New York Jets are in a similar window of title contention as Aaron Rodgers is nearing the end of his career. Be sure to check out our recent point of view to hear more on how they can represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. And the moment you've been waiting for, here's the answer to today's trivia question. We appreciate you tuning in this episode of Point of View, and we will see you in the next one.